Why does a simple task of fast and reliable system integration turn into a disaster in our super-automated times?
The development team say you're putting too much pressure on them and it's impossible to work.
It means that workflow has to be in place long before your integration tasks comes up.
It's the manager's job to drive change and keep eyes on processes. Disclaimer. We will not stop saying invasion to Ukraine destroys not only cities, but also Russian culture and Russian hearts. It's the path to World War III. It multiplies poverty all over the world, and it's a humanitarian catastrophe. Putin, go out from Ukraine. Suppose you're going to start sales on Amazon. You already have a distribution warehouses and retail chain in place. In short, your business is operational. Let's say your catalog in SAP. You came to SAP developers saying, we've signed a contract, we should ship to Amazon. We need the integration with the platform. Hi, my name is Andrey Putin.
My name is Anton Belov. Our subject today is collectively known as middleware, enterprise bus, brokers and so on. In this video we explain why integrations often longer than enterprise expected.
The SOA concept is not in our focus here, it's in our other video. Our point is just about doing integrations.
So, your developers take the task and estimate it. It's ready next month. Or first they guess they'll do it just tomorrow, but in reality it takes 1 month to deliver the project anyway. The timing makes you mad, but you can't do anything about it.
This is fine.
After a month of work and half a month of debugging, you finally believe you will start selling your long-expected product. It seems all goods have been published. The sales begin, but a week later you find out some goods do not get updated on Amazon. Some are missing at all, and some stock values are incorrect. What excuses can be used by developers?
Here are the most common ones. The task is complicated, or is our first time doing integration with Amazon. Or not the first time, but it went better back then. Amazon APIs is poor, they help desk is slow.
T
HD03.
H
D03.
Or we just lack of resources. With 40 people instead of 4, it would have been awesome.
Replace Amazon and SAP in this example with any other system like Salesforce or Magento, whatever. The scenario will be like this, every time anyway.
What do you see? You've promised to launch sales this season, everything seems to be ready, but issues are still there. The development team say you're putting too much pressure on them and it's impossible to work. We've been working overtime, pay us a bonus. Or they will quit. In an overheated market, developers will surely find a job, and you will be left with a hang-up, lame project with no idea who will support it. Do you recognize yourself?
Why does a simple task of fast and reliable system integration turn into a disaster in our super-automated times?
In fact, for nearly 20 years now, there have been ways on the market to manage integration between systems quickly, reliably and transportably for everyone. What's more, these ways lay a fundamental concept of service-oriented architecture. We'll discuss why many teams don't use or misuse the approach covered here at the end of this video. And now, the solution.
Such solutions have the umbrella name middleware. This is an interlayer that seems to have no value on its own, but a smooth road between your house and a restaurant has no direct value either. More precisely, such solutions are called enterprise service buses, a set of software that enables taking data from one system, like goods from SAP, putting it to your intermediate storage and sending it to another system, for example to Amazon.
This layer knows that goods cannot go directly from SAP to Amazon, or for example, the specific transformation of the color attribute is needed, or something like this. The layer may also know SAP doesn't have the complete product data, for example, product pictures needed to be taken from other system, or even the internet before information is sent to the marketplace.
How are speed, reliability and transparency achieved? The speed is high thanks to no need for your SAP developer to write logs, monitor, learn the way Amazon works and everything else. SAP developers know from the start that science the system is a master system for goods. The area of responsibility already includes first a connector to the bus and second the actual quality data in SAP. It means that workflow has to be in place long before your integration tasks comes up.
Strictly speaking, each system knows which data is responsible for. Say, your SAP can be in charge of goods and prices and your warehouse management system of the stock. The very same system is also responsible to having and refreshing this data in the interlane for storing in the appropriate broker queue. When the task to integrate with the marketplace arises, the technical teams in charge of the marketplace sales analyze Amazon API and confirms these fields. And then they build the integration into the end service with the graphic user interface.
It's okay to have just one developer in charge of everything. First of all, in most cases, they construct most of integrational logic with low code constructor with components that were engineered and tested for many years. It means the developer has less time to code and more time to elaborate the integration. Buses already have a huge toolkit for all popular actions, and they often have pre-assembled connectors for popular services.
Secondly, the developer doesn't reinvent the wheel for system monitoring and logging. Native support for these functions in buses facilitates troubleshooting a lot. When less time is spent on mechanical work, the developer has more time to debug and test the whole system.
Thirdly, changes in connectors to end system are faster than changes in development. Our statistics shows that minor code-based integration edits take 4 hours or more versus 15 minutes in ESB. On average, the integrations are built using buses. It divides developer work hours by 5.
Also, sometimes your SAP team is overloaded, but even when you need to change something urgently, you cannot engage a team completely unfamiliar with your SAP for this task. But using buses and a service-oriented approach, you can scale your team easily.
Now, think how it positively shows in your SAP. I mean, it doesn't have Amazon-specific connectors, and the bus uses standard box API of your SAP. Your SAP developers won't spend extra time supporting the integration. Your sales channel won't remain suspended just because your SAP team has been tasked with some higher priority. There will be less code in end systems. Plus to that, keep in mind that writing and integration is not a challenging or interesting task as such. Taking this weight from your SAP team, you stop their burnout.
Seems nothing but perks. But why aren't things usually as I described? We've been through bus implementation many times in our team and in our other companies, and we know the developers' arguments very well. Time to share them with you. 1. Often developers think your company doesn't have a technical stack approach for ESB. Mostly it's Java. Yes, your company may not have a Java developer, yet with plenty of components and a clear limited area of expertise. The writing of new integration builder components is perfectly covered by existing talents. Anyway, developing from scratch in any language, let alone overloading your existing systems with integration logic in its worst in terms of IT architecture and takes more hours.
2. Developers often say that it's truer to implement integration through code, or sometimes with some extension for your software. They found it's faster, safer and clearer. Another version, I don't want to work in a bus. Or they claim the bus lacks some very useful development tools like versioning. The developer will tell you it's too long to understand the bus, my coding is better for sure, all be done in a couple of days. Usually a couple of days turn into months loads of problems. Ask yourself, can your team make a better integration in a month than bus developers have done in 20 years? How many thousands of integration have gone through bus tools? How many problems have been identified and solved over that time? In our experience, These sort of objections show the developers just failed to find the proper tools and decided they didn't exist.
3. ESB is obsolete, often with reference to microservices in place. Nevertheless, roots of that definition lays in one's failure to understand fundamental structural principles of service-oriented and microservice architectures. We'll have a separate video on this topic. For now, let's say that Thomas Earle, the sole founder and author of the book Service-Oriented Architecture, Analysis and Design for Services and Microservices, doesn't think so. Neither do other minds of computer science. And 4. I don't believe in low code. Distrust comes from ignorance. But look at the facts. His capitalization of Salesforce, one of the largest low-code solutions in the world. And, by the way, Salesforce Group owns Mool, one of the most popular ESB iPaaS solution as well. An important idea to communicate with the team. With middleware, their work will be more meaningful and more interesting. Why do you need to code a task someone else has already solved before, when you can do fundamentally new things?
5. The developers observed a negative experience somewhere or had a personal experience where they say no benefits. It's not easy to integrate a bus properly. You have to change patterns of work, both with middleware and low-code. You have to understand both SOA and low-code principles. Without in the middleware will be useless. We've seen so many incorrectly implemented buses that have created more problems than they solved. If you know about middleware from Reddit or Stack Overflow, don't understand responsibility separation and lack processes management skills, you're destined to trouble.
These objections may all be reduced to ignorance of fundamental principles, fear of new, and fear of responsibility for the result, with less gaps for blaming complexities in the technology. When your work is transported for non-techies, when you have a clear idea and clear area of responsibility, and when you have integration-tailored tools perfected for 2 decades, your first desire is to explain why go for no implementation to avoid any changes.
In reality, bus implementation is a win for everyone. Building integrations from components in a middleware makes a good professional entry point for junior developers. You are of benefits of the team almost from the start. It's not so easy for you to make a mistake. There is an opportunity to grow your immersion step by step. No one shifts responsibility. The source of problems is always clear. When experienced enough, the developer shifts his focus to the most complex tasks, writing new components and in-depth analysis of the system behavior. The integration customer gets a self-documenting system with a clear knowledge of its behavior, and it helps everyone to change requests in integration flow with no developers involved.
Everything we've said have been covered in our real management experience. In working with our own team and with our own customers' team, consisting of hundreds of developers. We assume it may be very hard for an unprepared manager to implement buses and, moreover, to build efficient IT departments. You have to overcome resistance, ignorance, and work through strikes. When there is no powerful technical authority in the team, pushing for change is even harder, but it's the manager's job to drive change and keep eyes on processes. Bye-bye.
Bye.